Hi, good afternoon. So, what we're going to do is begin with prayer, and then I just want this to be a time for for principals and administrators to be able to share with each other their successes and their concerns with digital learning that's going on, and also to if you have non-digital learning issues that you want to share with a group, that this is a good time as well. And I'm happy to see Barbara Dolan jumped in with us as well. I don't know how long she's going to be able to stay.
I'm going to try to stay for the duration. Hi, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
Barbara.
Hi,
Barbara.
thank you all for everything that you are doing. I know that this is overwhelming days, but
whew, morale.
I don't want to interrupt anymore. I'll jump in if I can.
No, that's really helpful. So we're just about to begin with prayer, and what we're going to do, if you've opened up your chat box, feel free, if you have an intention you'd like to include, you could type that in the chat. If you just want to keep it in your heart, that's fine as well. I'll open with the beginning of the prayer, and then after our intentions, we'll all say a Hail Mary together. So we can bless ourselves in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, I have nothing to fear with you by my side. I will be strong and courageous for my faculty, students, and families, even in hard times. I will not be terrified or discouraged, for the Lord my God will be with me wherever I go. You will never leave me or forsake me. Teach me how to walk by faith and always remind me of your presence as I weather this storm. And let's just pause a moment for any intentions we have. And we'll pray the Hail Mary together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the end of our death. Amen. The Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I don't know how many of you were able to join us last week. Last week we spent about an hour together, and Noreen and Maria Yanis kind of walked us through what they were doing to prepare for digital learning days over the last several years. And we decided at the end that it would be really helpful to once a week touch base, whoever feels like talking, and that way you can share what's going on good and what concerns you might have. And this morning I met with teachers. So I wanted to remind you to get the word out to teachers and to any principals, administrators that you speak with, that every Thursday with this exact same website address and telephone number, 9 a.m. I'm going to meet with any teacher who feels like joining us. We had a really great conversation. I forgot to record it, so I don't have any evidence that it happened or a way to share it. But today I am again recording this session. I'll edit it as appropriate. So if we have conversations, like I'm not going to put my email address that I read out to you online. So I'll lightly edit what I need to. And every Thursday at 9, I'm going to work with any teachers who want to join me, and any principal administrators welcome to join us at 9. And every Thursday at 1 o'clock, I'll do this with principals until it's no longer needed. So what I'm going to ask is whoever wants to kick us off. And, you know, sometimes when you say that, a bunch of people start talking at once, but that's okay. We'll take turns. Tell us what has been some positives that you've seen this week and what concerns you might have.
Whoa. Where does one start, right? Well, I'll start. As you know, I've stated before, we use Canvas, and I have a professional development page set up right in Canvas, like it's its own course called Professional Development. And that allows every teacher and counselor, and teachers and counselors to join in that page. So what I'm doing in that course is keeping a list of resources running, cross-curricular resources. The department chairs are keeping their own resources within their specific learning areas. But the other nice thing that I'm finding very helpful to me emotionally and mentally is that I opened up a chat board, and it's just up every day like an open blog, and it's a place where teachers are checking in, talking to each other, sharing cross-curricular resources, and I'm also monitoring what they're saying, what they're leaning towards. And the one thing, so emotionally, mentally, it's very supportive for everybody who's in there. It's really a nice thing to tune into. But in addition, I realized that a lot of my teachers are looking for video conferencing with so many elements of their courses. And so we know, we also recognized through their conversations that the tool of choice is Zoom. So Union Catholic just got into that. So we have contracted with them, and the nice thing about Zoom for us is that it plugs right into Canvas. So it'll be a tool visible on the Canvas choice board. So again, we are happy to do that, and I know that we're fortunate to be able to do that. So I do say that, but I think that other schools should do the same thing. But what I also think is that you should agree on what it is you're going to use. If you're going to use Google Hangouts, then everybody uses Google Hangouts. You need the biggest problem I'm seeing, even countrywide, is and even amongst the parents of kids on my staff, is that they're telling me that their kids could be in one or two schools, or they're all in one school, and even the teachers are not using the same platforms, and that is killing parents. Even people like my teachers who are Lauren, hello. So even people like my teachers who are very versed in doing online learning, they're home with their kids, and two kids each have 9 teachers, and they're all in different platforms. So I think that's something I wanted to share today, is that we should really be helping our teachers to choose a platform and stay there. Use that.
And that's actually something that came up this morning, Noreen, in our conversation with the teachers.
Great.
Is that we do have to be mindful of the fact that there's so many wonderful tools out there. And there's going to be teachers who just want to try and do everything because so many companies are offering so many accesses to free things.
Right.
And that's a good thing. But like you're saying, if you can manage to get most of your faculty using a tool, like in Union Catholic's case, they're lucky to have Canvas. In some of our schools, like probably 80% of our schools have gone with Google, and so Google Classroom. Others have used Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft Teams, some schools are using Seesaw. And it does help the parents if they only have to support their kids through a tool or two.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Ann, just to pick up on what you said, that so many of these companies are putting free access out. So anybody can do Zoom. It's free, and the Zoom free application is really quite hefty. The thing you can't do on it is record.
You can actually, because
you can, and you can put it on your computer, but you don't have access to the cloud. Is that correct?
I believe they've extended beyond the 40 minutes now.
Yep. Yes, I heard that also.
Mhm.
Right. So now anybody
free.
can go past 40. Yeah, anybody has the extended now. So up to 100 people, up to 24 hours.
Great.
And, keep in mind too, as you're supporting the teachers, that 40 minutes is a long time for anybody to concentrate on anything. And so if they could do some shorter things, that's really helpful. Like these Zoom conferences I'm doing with the teachers and the principals, they're running an hour. I just don't have the time to cut them up into smaller videos. But if you do a Zoom conference, you can save it to the hard drive and it can be cut into smaller pieces. So, it's a good thing to be mindful of the amount of time too. Well, thank you for kicking us off, Noreen. And, that also brought to mind, before we hang up, I want to talk a little bit about norms that you're finding useful in your schools for digital learning. But how about if I'll kind of go through and ask people to share a little bit. And if you have nothing to share, just say pass for now. There's no pressure. So Debbie, how are things going with you? Any things you'd like to share that have been working so far, or concerns?
We've been using Google Classroom. So a lot of the teachers are using Zoom. They've started to play with Google Meet. They found that later on. And I know we've used it. I've used it to meet my lead teachers. Everything is going very well, as far as I can see. And I spend the morning trolling the classrooms. I just go drop in each of the classrooms and say hi, or watch whatever video the teachers are doing, and I interact with the kids. So that's how I am monitoring what's going on. I've gotten many letters, emails from parents saying how wonderful it's going without missing a beat, really. And I have to say, I am concerned for how long this is going to be. I know I sent, when they left on Friday, they were prepared for 2 weeks. And that's the long range concern is, this is a little bit of a novelty now. The kids are enjoying it. The teachers are telling me that it's a long day to be on the computer. So my worry is long term. I'm, hoping that if we can get to Easter break, that a break would be helpful to everybody.
Agree.
Can I
And
jump
speaking,
in here? I'm sorry.
go ahead, Barbara, you go first.
I was just going to say, I want people to be aware of that this is probably going to go up to and beyond Easter, recognizing the fact that everybody is going to need that break at Easter. I mean, you have those days, you should make sure that people are taking those days, both parents and staff.
And we didn't use our snow days either. So I have three snow days to use.
So keep that in mind. If you're really doing this and you're doing it the way it's intended to be, these count as your 180, so certainly you're entitled to and very much deserve that time that you would have off at Easter. So that's what I think everybody just needs to keep in mind. There is a break there, little chance for everybody to regroup. Because I am amazed when I think about what teachers are doing right now. It's beyond what they would probably be doing in the classroom. It's just taking so much of it.
It really is. I'm so proud of them.
Yes.
I just can't even, I'm stunned.
Agreed. This, and I work in the virtual world of education every single day, but it's a course. These teachers are running 5 courses at least, some 6. It's mind-boggling. And but everybody, it's this is where the human spirit shows itself.
It is. And what I was going to say too is, as a principal, as an administrator, you want to think about norms for your staff and make sure that you're talking to them, that they really, as much as they can, shouldn't be driving themselves into the ground. They need to choose a time that they're going to stop and be mindful of that. And when I'm listening to educators from around the world, especially from the Orient, who've been doing this for, a good 6 or 7 or 8 weeks now, share with your teachers that this week is the hardest, because they're really trying to help everybody feel comfortable in this virtual space, and they're helping themselves become comfortable in this virtual space. And as they start understanding how things work, and as the kids and the parents start understanding how things work, it should become less of a heavy lift hours wise. But definitely do talk about norms with your staffs, so that they realize that nobody's expecting them to work 14, 15, 16-hour days, right? I mean, I'm personally trying 4-ish or 5-ish to finish the day, as it were. And I do hop into the Facebook group and just, I'll do a like here or a comment there. Certainly every single principal in Union County has my cell phone number, and they know that if they need me, it doesn't matter what time of day or night it is, they can give me a call. But, we all have to figure out where that balance is, because we'll drive ourselves into the ground no time at all, right? And another thing that Debbie mentioned that I wanted to bring out is she said she spends her morning trolling the classrooms. As a principal, in most of these digital spaces, you can have your teacher invite you as a co-teacher. So if you didn't know about that, whether it's Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams or Seesaw, you can ask your teacher to make you a co-teacher and let them know you're not there to breathe down their neck, but it is a really cool opportunity to
The
jump
problem
in.
with that I found with that, Ann, is that every time a kid signs in or posts an assignment, I get an email. So at the end of the day, I have 900 and something emails.
And a principal this morning said, make sure you unsubscribe as a teacher.
Okay.
So Debbie, if you don't know how to unsubscribe as a teacher from those emails, get in touch and we'll figure out so that you can get a break on those emails.
Really, I opened the Gmail and there was 957 emails. I sort of, oh my Lord.
And how do you sort between that and what's really super important?
We don't use Gmail, only for Google.
Oh, thank goodness.
So that's only thing in Gmail is kids. That's the only form the kids are able to use. But we have a different email for the staff to communicate. So I don't have to sort through them. I just erase them all.
Thank goodness. Okay. So Phyllis, how's it going with you? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Well, we're using Google Classroom also. I was just in touch with Trish because some parents are asking if, videos, if they could actually see the teacher, and we hadn't gotten that far. So we're going to have an online meeting tomorrow to see if we can start doing that, because it appears it's going to be longer than what we thought. And I think it would be good if they actually saw people instead of just going back and forth online without any visuals. So we're going to be working on that. The lower grades, the preschool, we have blogs, which the parents are very used to going on and using. So that's what the lower grade teachers have been doing. We're trying all the time to try and expand. For us, for most of the teachers, they're familiar, but there are those, and even including myself, that haven't had as much training as others, but we're trying to learn every day. So trying to do the best we can. I think considering all the kids took home their books and everything on Friday. So I think keeping the kids going, I think, what Debbie was saying, I think that's going to be one of the hardest things, keeping them engaged. So we're trying to come up with other things that, we can interest them in. And I know, a lot of the issues with parents who are still working or parents who are not familiar even with doing this. I had one parent said, I'm not a teacher, but, in these circumstances, we all have to be. But considering for a little school like ours, like someone else said, I'm really proud of what they're doing. And they're doing their best. And I'm very lucky to have who I have.
Yes.
I think that's the feeling across the board with everyone I talk to, whether it's a teacher or whether it's an administrator. Everybody's just so proud. And I can't tell you how good it does my heart to see how everybody's supporting each other. So that there's a lot of teachers doing this for the first time, and they're stepping up to it. You know, they may have said years ago, oh, I don't need that technology. And they're not even saying that. They're just saying, show me how, which is awesome. And, you know, I agree with what you were saying, Phyllis. Emotionally, if you can do it, it's really helpful for the kids to see teachers somehow, see each other somehow. What I'm hearing is that a few schools are doing virtual recess. So not even necessarily a lesson, just a lunch bunch together where they can have some community time together.
That's what the kids miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
And Noreen and I were having that conversation last week with Maria Yanis about student apathy and really, you know, what are we going to do to keep the kids engaged? And I think our conversations this week and last week were more technical. And I think this week and going forward, we're going to see that it ends up being just more that emotional side of things and more the teacherly side. And again, that's what we're seeing from a lot of the overseas teachers, is that you do transition into that more personal side.
Can I ask you a question?
Tracy. Go ahead, Noreen.
I'd like to know what the directive is in your schools. Are your teachers working like on a schedule, or are they not working on a schedule? And what seems to be working, you know, for each of you?
We had the teachers all make up schedules and send them home with the students last Friday. So they know that, like say 11:20, the sixth grade has English class, you know, so they follow their normal schedule. Or if they, in the younger grades, the teachers sent home a schedule so that they know when each thing is for that day.
Right. We rolled out schedules, whereas the upper grades are following the schedule and the younger grades, it's up to the parents to sort of just get things done by 6 p.m.
I've asked my teachers to start at 9 o'clock, take attendance, and if they can stay on till 1. But of course, there's exceptions with working parents, and you know, children don't have anyone to help them at home. So you know, we're trying to be as flexible as we can, but we're asking them at least to let us know that they're on.
I have a set schedule for everyone. From a preschool 3 all the way through middle school. The preschoolers are on for half an hour each and every morning. So they're used to doing their circle time, their date, and the parents have been head over heels with that. Then the preschool teachers will then switch to a book reading or something, go to the zoo, do something fun every day. The grades 1 through 4 are on 3 times a week. Each teacher has a 30-minute slot. So each student spends about 2 to 2.5 hours, depending upon their language, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're off. And it seems to be working very well. I bet we've only had 2 days to run through this schedule. But it's been mostly positive. And this is all through Zoom. So parents are loving it, students are loving it, and we'll see how it goes. But right now they're excited. They've learned a new skill. And I plan on carrying this through for virtual snow days next year, just a little bit more enhanced.
Good.
So that's St. Rose.
And Paul is sharing that they're running a full day routine, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., recess break, specials classes at regular time, lunch from 11:45 to 12:30. The teachers are on to be during routine assigned teaching times to engage with the students. And the upper school, the middle school's taking regular locker break at 10 a.m., shorter than the 20-minute recess for the grades 1 to 4.
Interesting. Some of the feedback we're getting, because we're a high school, is our kids are caretakers of their younger siblings, and they're actually helping their younger siblings in their academics. So that's one thing that we're hearing. And the other thing that we're hearing is, you know, our most at-risk kids, we're trying to really keep an eye on and really shepherd. So a student who may have been out with mental health issues, or a student who is, you know, a foundations level student who really needs attention. And as somebody just said, you know, we're so concerned about losing students. But we're not running a schedule. For better or worse, we're not running a schedule. We have individual deadlines, and that's what they're used to. They're used to meeting those deadlines. So we thought that would work best for us. But, and because of the responsibilities that a high school student, probably many of them have in their homes. So we wanted to be sensitive to that. But parents we're now starting to hear from parents, I can't get my kid out of bed. They're not starting until 4 o'clock. And, you know, and technically that's not a problem for us, but we also have teachers who are doing tutoring through Zoom. So that needs to be scheduled. That teacher needs to say, all right, Johnny, I'm going to meet with you at 11 o'clock. And then the kid needs to be, you know, engaged. And the parents are saying, well, I can't get him out of bed. And I'm like, well, you know, we're all learning. We're all learning. How's Noah doing? Is he helping his younger siblings?
He's dancing and singing, and we set up a Kung Fu studio in the garage. So.
Excellent.
So we're good. They're all very independent. So everyone's doing their own work. So far, so good. Yeah.
And Tracy, your hand's been up and you haven't had a chance to share. Would you like to share a little bit about what's going on up in your school?
Sure. I just finished typing, but I'll share verbally. First, I'm jealous that everyone is indoors and I have to sit outside because of what's happening inside. My own child is home. So we're using Google Classrooms. They've been using it throughout the year already. So for us, it wasn't a new implementation. I sent out a survey before we actually had the closing. So we were really prepared to see who had any issues with technology. And we only had one family that didn't have the internet. And so that parent we were working with her to ensure that she had all of the work, and it just turned out in our favor, for lack of a better term, that they offered free internet. So now they have it. The students were told that they have or families until 6 o'clock to complete an assignment that is been posted by every teacher. I'm a co-teacher in every class, and I have a separate email that has been used to that's separate from my work email, so that I don't have the same problem that I don't know who said that they were getting like 900. It's separate and apart, so I don't have that issue. And I'm just sending out our Bergen County provider. She gave out her contact information, so that she could provide additional support to the few students who we have that receive services. And we also have an on-call, well, I guess he's not on call, but he works with us. He's the school psychologist. And so he comes in, his official title is student advocate, but his professional capacity is that of a psychologist. So he's usually available for, just having small groups. And so he's made himself available, and I sent that out to families in case anybody's having any issues with anxiety or things like that. And I've just been sending constant communication to the families. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from families. They've been really happy with what they've been receiving. So, and the families also know that if they post anything after 6 o'clock, that the teachers will not answer until the following day. So.
That's great.
That's great.
And you know, it was interesting as you were talking, it made me think too about how you're getting your faculties together. Have you been doing Zoom conferences? Because really with that social distancing, you really don't want to have all the teachers back in for in-services. So if you need help with Zoom conferences, let me know. I can teach people how to host these on their own if they can't figure it out for themselves, because you can show people screens and you can have one-on-one tutoring with people. I helped somebody yesterday from the office with how to get at her files. So that's one piece. And then the other piece is the concept of having something like this for families. This came up when I was talking with a couple principals from my county this morning. And we were talking about the idea that, as Barbara said, you want to respect that Easter break. And so many of our schools have a service that half day, don't worry about it, that half day Wednesday, a lot of schools have a service. So is there a possibility of getting a note out to the family that you're going to have a little pre-Easter break service via Zoom that anybody can join? So I was wondering what you're experiencing as far as how are you getting, or how are you considering getting staff together, and are you making any considerations for parents?
Well, as I guess also as Paula said, we're doing a lot of sub meetings. So like I will meet with my world language department and everybody, we have a number of learning area administrators and they will meet with their individual departments, and we're looking forward to everybody being on the same license for Zoom, and then we can keep all that stuff together. So that is definitely happening. And, this blog that I have running through Canvas has been really helpful in people keeping in touch there. We are going to run, we've gone through the calendar and we've identified all the events that would need to be canceled or postponed. And Dr. Jim Regan is now in charge of figuring out which ones we're going to run virtually.
Wow.
So the first one will be next Wednesday night, the 25th. And we are going to run our World Language Honor Society. It will lack the performances. Sorry, Laurel. It will lack performances, but it will honor the students. And we have put certain people in charge of creating these virtual events and thinking out of the box about what they're going to look like. So our first endeavor will be Thursday night, 7 o'clock, unioncatholic.org live stream.
Oh, how awesome.
God help me.
Wow.
So we're also headed towards doing things like the honor roll breakfast. That's
wow.
We're going to do academic awards. And of course, people are thinking about how do you do a prom?
Right.
How do you, we have a very, very big event in early April called Mr. UC. And we've already pre-recorded some of that while the kids were still here in the building. And then obviously our big focus is graduation. And our academic awards are two big evening events in which many scholarships are awarded. So that will be happening virtually. So it's going to be interesting, but we've got some good people, working on it and thinking out of the box. And isn't that what we all need? Isn't that what we're all doing? Which is thinking out of the box, well, we never thought about this before, but maybe this will work. So education will never look the same. Whenever this comes to an end and we inch ourselves back into life, education will never be the same.
which is not a bad thing.
Is not a bad thing.
And
Right.
I'm going to maybe bring Barbara into this a little bit. And one of the things that I saw in the chat is talking about how are you working with quizzing and assessing students. And, you know, share what you're doing. And again, Barbara, feel free to jump in as you hear
I
what
have
people are
breaking
sharing.
news. You all hold on to your seat. All AP students received a survey from the College Board this afternoon. It looks like AP is going to test online.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. So what it looks like they're proposing, because this didn't come to the coordinators or the teachers, it went to the students.
Wow.
And it's a survey. They're asking the students questions in this survey, but it looks like they're proposing a 45-minute online multiple choice test. No essay, which I'm surprised at. I would have thought they'd go the other way to short answers and essay, but they
Probably
did
the
not.
number of graders, right?
They can't get graders.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can't bring 700 graders to Tampa to grade AP exams. So so it's interesting. It's there was a hint of that a day or two ago, but I got to tell you, I'm the AP coordinator, and I am not receiving any of this information. It's all going out to the students, which is a little disheartening for me. But you know, the students are sharing it with us, so we're holding tight to see what happens there. But that just broke this afternoon. We'll
It's
see.
interesting that they're not communicating with the coordinators.
It's maddening. Yes.
Hmm.
But I, you know what? I chalk it up to their challenge too. So
Right.
I'm not a big fan of the College Board. So
So what are other folks doing with this assessment?
we shall see.
Any thoughts on how you're handling that? Testing and quizzes?
They're putting them online, and the kids are just turning them in. Some of them are adept, and they do like for the teachers already. Some have not gotten that far, so they just have the kids turn it in.
Okay. Are they concerned that, you know, they're getting other sources of information while they're taking those tests?
Yes. So one of my teachers has decided to do 4 problems. So for the advanced math class, they're doing Algebra 1. So she sends 4 individualized problems to each student. So that way they're working on it themselves and asking her the questions rather than a sheet to everybody that's the same. And then they collaborate and how do we know? So she created like shorter assignments, but they're individualized to each child in the class.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Our teachers are just testing online. And if there's a difficulty with a child testing online and returning it back to us, we're using ScanPro and a couple of other free apps that you can just take a picture
Okay.
and email it back to the teacher.
Okay.
And that seems to be working very well.
Our kids have been doing the same thing, and the parents for the kinders, they're just taking a photo of the workbook pages and sending them through Edmodo to the teachers.
That's what our lower grade teachers are doing too, through their blogs. They're taking pictures and sending them to the teachers.
Okay. All right, yeah, these are, you know, challenging times, so we have to keep in mind that, you know, it's not just tests and quizzes, but all the other work that they're doing as well. You know, opportunities perhaps where teachers could have individual little interviews with students about material that they're learning. You know, we have to be creative in terms of how we get at whether or not the students are learning the material or mastering the material you're putting before them. So, you know, that's something maybe in your next conversation with your teachers to get some ideas. You know, we're kind of making this up as we go along. We're building the plane while we're flying it, right?
This is a Barbara,
Yes.
any ideas about the map growth?
So the map growth, so those schools that do map growth, you have some skills assessments in there. Or are you asking about May testing?
Yes, May
Okay.
testing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at that as time goes on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way really to do that remotely.
Mhm.
So well, obviously those are things, even the public schools are looking at their calendar for their assessment
Testing,
as well.
spring testing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not life as usual as we're accustomed to. So we'll see where it all goes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're at about 1:45. I want to definitely finish up by 2. And I want to open it up to any last questions and thoughts, but I did want to share 2 other last quickie things. I've been hearing from some principals that the teachers are concerned because they do have to communicate with the students, and they don't necessarily want their cell phone number or their house number to be displayed. So a simple solution is let your teachers know that they can hit *67 before a phone number, and then it just comes up as no call information. And so that way they can call out, but their number won't display on the phone. Another choice, which I'm in the process of writing a little tutorial for, is Google has a thing called Google Voice. And you can go to voice.google.com and set up an account. It is really best if the teachers have a non-school Gmail account to do this with, because it attaches to their personal cell phone. I put a little tutorial video together yesterday. I'm still editing it together. But what happens is Google gives you a free telephone number. Mine is in Metuchen someplace. And then you can either use the computer, voice.google.com, to sign into your Google account. And it gives you a telephone. And as long as you have headsets that you can talk on, you can talk right through the computer. And if somebody sees that phone number and calls you, it'll ring through to your Google phone number, and it'll pass it on to your cell phone number. And it has a voicemail as well. So that's for people who are more techie and want to do something more techie. But for people who wanted to be very, just hit *67 and then the number, that's the way to do it too. The other question that came up was a question of norms on video cameras. So somebody at the high school level had a situation where a kid, the teacher felt like the kid was talking to other kids on any old video chat. And so what I had suggested is, if it becomes something that's helpful for you as a principal, maybe you want to talk about a dress code for video cameras, and not school uniform, obviously, but
Not your
whatever.
pajamas either.
Exactly.
It's more uniforms though. They had to.
Now that's adorable.
My kids asked that.
We did a test run. They
I
wore their
guarantee you that
uniform.
did not
You don't
happen.
have to wear your uniform.
And you know what? There are a couple of schools I've seen around who've held pajama days. So it's different for a 3rd grader to have an appropriate footy pajama day. It's a totally different, uncomfortable feeling if a high school student is choosing to be the only one in pajamas. So, you may want to consider that there might be a worthwhile conversation with teachers who are doing video conferences about like a dress code. So you should have something that you would wear to a school dress down day. And, to have the kids be mindful of where they're having conference calls. So, you don't want them in bed up to their neck in blankets. That, a desk is good. If the bedroom's the only place that they could video conference, make sure your room's made up, and it's appropriate. And what I said is, you know what? It's a school day. So if you as a teacher feel uncomfortable, have a call to the parents and just say, could you speak with so-and-so about, and also most of these things have a mute. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and I could mute the video picture coming into me so that, so there's a lot of ways that you could do that. But one of the things that a lot of teachers don't do naturally in class, unless they're the tech teacher, is have digital citizenship type conversations. And it really is a good thing to have your teachers just have classroom norms for what behavior they expect.
I'm seeing a question here about homework. I'm questioning whether or not homework is necessary, in this particular situation, since they are doing work throughout the day, and in some cases that assignment will extend beyond the school hours. So I think sometimes we have to rethink that. And then the other one that came up was the question about being absent. And I was reading some guidance from the State Department about if school is in session remotely, it's hard to kind of keep track of students who are absent or not. So I'll try to get some clarification on that. I mean, you make a note if they're not participating, but they would not be counted as absent on their records, is my understanding.
Okay, so I'm going to start ending this call. I am really grateful that you took time out of your day, because I know that this is coming at you from every angle. As much as we're saying that the teachers are doing a lot of heavy lifting, the principals are just amazing to me, what you're dealing with on the fly above and beyond the normal things that you deal with on the fly. So thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for taking the time out today to talk with each other. There is a Facebook group for principals in the Archdiocese of Newark, and I'm putting it in the chat. Join us. There's only about 15 administrators in there right now. I'd love to see, 50 or 100 people in there, because the high schools often have multiple administrators. Also, for teachers, please let them know that there's a Facebook group for any teacher, technology director, technology integration specialist. If somebody doesn't have a Facebook, what I'm telling them to do, or if you have a Facebook but you want to be private, just create a disposable Gmail account, create a Facebook account. You don't even have to have a picture. You don't have to post a single thing to it. But you can join the digital administrator group. And I'm just going to mute everybody for a second. Because, okay, there we go. So, you don't have to have a Facebook account that you use personally to join one of these groups, but there's a lot of great conversations. We have almost 60 teachers in the Facebook group. So share that with them. Share the other one with administrators. And I have another link that I'm putting in, which is tinyurl.com/arcan digital 2020. It's an open Google document that I'm keeping links on. The final piece is my Arcan YouTube channel, which is tinyurl.com/Arcan YouTube. What I'm doing is posting any videos that I record in Zoom conferences after I edit out kind of private stuff. I'm putting those up there. So the principal one with Noreen and Maria is up there already. I'll put this one up there probably by tomorrow. And also there's just a ton of videos that I've created over the last 6 years, little tutorials on things.